Kia ora te iwi, welcome back to Under the Whāriki. I'm Tahu.
And I'm Anatola, and today's topic on this episode is money. And we have a beautiful guest with us today via Zoom, and I'm going to throw it to her so that she can introduce herself.
Kia ora te whānau, ko Te Kahukura Boynton, tōku ingoa, huri tēnei no ngā te kahungunu, ngā tūhoi te whakatohia hoki. I run a personal finance blog and podcast called Māori Millionaire.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Wicked. Māori millionaire.
Damn, we're going to learn a lot today.
If only. All right, so as always, to warm up our show, we start with our icebreaker, which is yeah, nah, nah, yeah. Which is you get to disagree with a yeah, nah. Yeah, nah means no. And nah, yeah. This is the honest, hardest thing to explain.
Yeah.
Nah, yeah means yes, okay? Ka pai? So I'm going to read a statement and you decide where you sit. Telling someone when they have food stuck in their teeth. Yeah, nah, nah, yeah.
Te Kahukura, what do you think?
Nah, yeah.
Yeah?
Man, you're going to tell them. Just embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Embarrassing. Do you have a method of how you tell people?
Sissy got...
Oi, sis!
Yeah.
Oh, you just got to be honest.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I'm definitely a nah yeah as well. Just because it's the best respectful thing to do. And there's a way that you can do it where it's like, and be like, I feel like because sometimes people get fucking-ass. I'm always like, oh my God, that happens to me so much. And I would just much rather someone tell me, so that's why I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Or like when there's lipstick on someone's teeth.
Down the street, like she had like a pad wrapper out her pants, and I just told her because like that's so sad. She can't walk around with that stuff on her.
No, exactly. I'm here for that because I feel like you should tell people, and it's like you don't have to make a big deal out of it. It's like, oh, we've been there, so it's more so just letting them know. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Tahu?
Yeah, nah. You're on your own.
You're lying.
Look at him like this.
You'd be like, oh, no.
Nah, jokes, yeah. I would definitely help the bro out. Yeah.
I feel like you're someone who would do that.
You wouldn't just let them embarrass
No, you wouldn't. I feel like you'd be like, oi, you got something in your teeth.
Definitely.
That's not like, he's playing not even. Amazing. Okay, cool. So we're jumping into our pop quiz. So this is just for us to kind of like scale down what we know, which for this topic, I know nothing. So basically this is a pop quiz. We've got whiteboards and you're going to ask us questions and then we're going to have a little chat in between. Cool? Grab my whiteboard.
Where is, oh,
Wait.
I just poured my water everywhere. Who put it there? Probably Stevie. I don't want to name anyone, but it was Stevie.
It's alright, it's just water. It will just soak in.
Okay, come on. I'm ready.
You're ready.
Te Kahukura?
Okay, so I'm just asking any questions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, what does inflation measure?
What?
Oh shit! I was going. Oh shit!
Oh no!
What is inflation? It's honestly the most mysterious thing
Yeah,
ever.
I'm like, what is it? I don't know. Wait, so ask the question again, like this is gonna help me. Ask the question again,
What is inflation?
Oh, that doesn't even make sense, Noah.
The amount of... I don't know for sure. I only know when it goes up, the prices go up.
That's what I said.
Nice.
Is
That's well, it's right to me. The amount of money puta circulating in the economy?
I
No.
said the increase of prices?
Yeah, it's like a measurement of the cost of living increasing or decreasing.
Yeah.
Basically how far your money can go.
Really?
Dang. And are we going through inflation right now, or are we always going through inflation?
So we're always going through inflation, but like a normal amount would be something like 2%. But so that means that like every year if you're not getting a pay raise of 2%, you're essentially working the same for less because you're able to buy less. So if you're not getting like at least 2% pay raise every single year, then you're getting paid less essentially.
Wow.
But at the moment, inflation's sitting at like 10%, meaning that everything's 10% more expensive than it was last year. So like a $3 bottle of milk is going to be
$3.30.
like $3.30 as opposed to $3. But things like supermarkets have like the biggest rates of inflation, so the cost of kai goes up far more than a lot of other things. Same with housing, like rental prices go up far more than other things, like lots of things. Yeah.
Wow. That's good to know about a safe measure would be at 2%. Like,
Yeah,
and
so
the fact
that's
that
like
we
a
should be
normal
increasing
way
every
to
year.
be able to like, you know, keep going. But if you think about like benefits and stuff, benefits don't go up 10%. They didn't go up 10% in the last year, but people on benefits are able to buy 10% less. Oh, not 10% less, but you know, everything's 10% more expensive. So they're able to buy less and they're getting the same amount of money. So money just goes less for
That's so oh my gosh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Booty.
Okay. Thank you. Next question.
Yeah. Fucking supermarkets bullshit.
But I hate supermarkets so
Ridiculous how
much.
expensive they are. at the moment.
Can I just say, fuck you, Farrah. I hate you.
Countdown.
You're the only place you have vegan kai, and you're so expensive, and I hate it. But I love it. But I need you to
love you.
cut it down.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess this is a good question. What are the most common cars that millionaires drive?
Cars.
Yeah, what kind of cars do millionaires drive?
That millionaires.
Yeah.
Millionaires.
I don't even know what I feel like this is. I'm going the opposite direction of what I think. Because I'm thinking about like the Kardashians.
Okay, I've gone eco-friendly, less than 2 litre cars.
I said Toyota Prius.
Nice. That's exactly.
Oh, Toyota is the most common car driven by millionaires, and millionaires. So you got that one. Like predominantly millionaires drive actually like less flash cars to like the average person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they're millionaires, right?
Yeah.
I was sitting here thinking like, oh, the only millionaires that I really like, I don't know any millionaires, but like the Kardashians, and they all have like flash as cars. But if we're thinking about like actually just everyday millionaires.
Yeah, normal millionaires.
Normal, quote unquote.
Yeah.
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 Normal you know, the normal kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Toyota, cool.
Okay, what are interest rates?
Sorry, say that again.
What are interest rates, or what are they at the moment?
Interest rates for houses?
For anything?
I'm just gonna go. Oh, it's around 7% at the moment.
Oh wait, are you looking for a number?
Oh,
Oh no, description
What are-
of
what
yeah,
is
what
the
they
interest
are.
oh.
Ah,
But you were talking about house interest rates at the moment. Ridiculous.
disgusting.
Yeah.
That's what they are. This makes no sense, but it's fine. I think.
Interest rate is the percentage you pay back on the loan.
Yeah.
That sounds so much more better.
And so I think just like further to that, I guess poor people generally pay interest and rich people generally earn interest. So, you know, like we're paying, Māori predominantly have like a lot more like loans with like loan sharks, and those interest rates are far higher than like one with the bank. So like traditionally, if you know the inflation level was lower, you'd maybe pay like 4% interest on your mortgage, But with like loan sharks, you're going to be paying like 15%, you know, to get a car loan.
Yeah.
But what rich people do is instead of paying, you know, for things with interest, they let their money be invested, or they let other people use it, and then they're actually making that interest. So instead of having to pay it, they're basically getting it off for people and using it.
So, because I wrote that this is probably really wrong, but like when people, organizations, governments sell something to get profit, is it like for profit as well, right? Is that interest rates too? No.
So I guess when you get a loan, it's just the
I'm just
cost
clarifying.
associated with it.
Shut up, Tahu. Continue to go. Yeah, sorry, keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, what did you say? Sorry?
When you get a loan, the interest rate is just the cost associated with it.
Right. So they don't actually gain anything from it.
No, you gain the money from the interest.
From that interest.
Yeah. So if I give you $100 with a 10% interest back,
Right.
then you'd pay me back $110 overall.
Right.
Yeah. Pie?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But we'll get it. It's fine.
How many partai did you guys want?
Oh, nah, that's it. Pie. Yeah. Wicked.
Amazing.
I think Puti is such a... For me, I grew up talking about it with my whānau. Because we're such an open whānau, but also because I come from a whānau of business. And my parents have always been really open and honest about what they earn and what we spend it on, and why things cost this and why you do that. And I remember being really young and having a conversation with one of my mates. I would have been young, like 6, and
Oh, wow.
my mum, like she tells the story as well, she was listening to us in the back of the car, my bro being like, I can't wait to get a credit card when I'm older, I'm just going to buy everything. And I used to say like, no, you can't just buy anything because then you have to pay it back. Yeah, and like my parents like being really, just like really good at informing me about how money
stuff.
works and why it works that way.
That's so good.
Yeah, but I know I'm a real 1 in a million of our Māori whānau. Because our financial literacy is so poor. Like we're poor minded, we have a poor mindset, there's poor resources, and on top of that, it's hard to talk about things that you don't understand.
Yeah.
And
True.
even worse, it's hard to talk about things that you're almost ashamed in because you struggle to provide for your whānau, or you don't have as much as the next person. That's where the comparison thing comes into. And well, what have you growing up with where did you get all your financial literacy from, I guess?
Yeah, so I grew up in my mum was a solo mum, and she's a hustler. Like she worked so many different jobs, and she always provided for my brother and I, and she made sure we had everything we had. Even when she was literally on the benefit, she would find a way to make sure we had everything we had. And I really loved that about her. But I think what really hit me was the fact that she worked so hard, but you know, she was able to buy her kids what they needed, but there was no real like incentive for her. Like, what did she get out of all this mahi? You know, you give your literal whole life to like bust your ass for a job. You go there and you go, like, you're leaving the house at 7 a.m. You're not getting back till 6 p.m. You're spending all this time away from your family, and you're working so hard in your job, and you get what, nothing. But then, like, as a kid, I go to school and I see other kids and, like, their families have so much money. And it's like, why is it that my mum can work so hard, but, you know, we don't have heaps of money? And it's just, to me, it didn't sound fair. And so with her kind of really strong desire for her kids to be educated, I was always reading books. I wasn't allowed to, like, watch TV, like, before school and things like that. It was always books. And so I would start reading about money, and I learnt about the different ways wealthy people made their money and how money actually works. And so like I was like literally a little kid and I was so weird, so nerdy, but I learned about like interest rates and KiwiSaver and all these different things from a young age. And then as I kind of grew up, I realized like no one else actually like really thinks about money as much as I do, and they don't really talk about it like I do. And I'm like, that's cool, but I think that in having kōrero about pūtea, we're able to normalize and we're able to actually like learn things from each other. Like, for example, the other day I was like, to a friend, I was like, oh, my car insurance is at like $50 a week. And she's like, what? $50 a week? And I was like, is that not normal? And it's just because like I had never even like talked about this with anyone. I didn't even know what a normal car insurance payment was. But when we like actually talk about things, we're able to realize like what's normal, what isn't, and how can we improve. And so I think for Māori, who generally have less money than other races in Aotearoa, it's an opportunity for us to improve and grow as one, like exactly what we do in tikanga, you know, whakawhanaungatanga, aroha, and manaakitanga, like grow as one and grow together.
I love that. That's a beautiful message. Because like I was talking to my girlfriends, I said this to you earlier, I was talking to my girlfriends about this last week, and we were talking about the book Girls Who Invest, Girls Who Like to Invest, or whatever the book title is called. And we all had quite like different opinions about the whole idea of investment, and we were, like, I'm going to put my hand up and say, I'm like, this is just capitalism. Like, it's just capitalism. It's so annoying. And my other best friend was like, yeah, but we live in a capitalist society, so we have to find a way to survive it. And I'm like, yeah, but fuck that. I hate that. That's so annoying. And I don't want to live my life just always worrying about money. And she's like, yeah, but we have to worry about money because that's how we survive. And so now knowing that like you do Māori Millionaire, which she was mentioning about it, how have you found has been helpful to talk to people like myself who are like so hesitant about even touching on this topic? And I think it's also because we're projecting, because we're really bad. I'm really bad with money. I think that's really like what we're doing. What I'm doing is like I'm really bad with money, and so I'm like I just don't want to talk about it because it's annoying. But yeah, how have you found ways to be helpful when talking about this to people that are like, that's not aligning with who I am, whether I'm Māori, Pasifika, whatever it may be?
In all honesty, I think it's about just being like really transparent and very vulnerable in the fact that like I'm 19 and I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Like I don't know lots of things. And so when I come on the internet to talk about pūtea, it's not because I think that I know, like I'm on this journey myself. And so what I'm trying to do is like normalize a kōrero about this, and I actually encourage like my followers and stuff to disagree with me, because when they do, we're actually both able to learn and grow, and it's not like a competition. And I think there's enough room for us all to succeed and for us all to build wealth. And so I think Māori Millionaire as a community is just a way to normalize these kōrero and be able to help one another. And then actually, like sometimes people will call me out and they'll be like, you know, that post just was not right. And I'm just like, yeah, you know what, it wasn't. But I know that now. And so we move forward.
What's an example of a post where you'll be like, oh, damn it?
Okay. So I made a post on TikTok, and it was about like 10 money mistakes that teenagers made. And I made one of them was buying a car. And my whakaaro behind that is that I think as soon as like I knew what cars were, I wanted my own car because I saw it as a sign of like independence, being able to do whatever you want. But when I was in high school and I had my own job and I could afford my own car, I decided not to, because I knew that cars are really expensive to maintain and things like that. So in the post I said, that's a money mistake. And then everyone was attacking me going, you know, like, that's so insensitive. Like, you know, we need cars to get around and stuff. And like, I understand that, and I get that fully. But I think from my perspective, like, I didn't get rides from anyone, but I chose to walk places because I knew that was my financial goal, to not waste money on things I didn't need. So yeah, that's one example where people called me out, but...
Oi.
I kind of get that though.
Fuck them, way. Like, honestly, fuck them. Like, cars are the dumbest things in the world.
True.
They're outright liability. On my business, you get to write it off as an asset. But it's an outright liability. I bought my truck for like, what, 35K. It cost me 5K a year. I travel all year round. and I do about 50,000 Ks a year. Every 10,000 you have to get a service. For that truck it's like $600. Every time I get a service there's something wrong with it. I buy Ks, they're about, I think they're $500 at the moment, $600 at the moment for 10,000 Ks. So every 10,000 Ks that's 600, $3,000 in just Ks a year, and then $5,000 of maintenance, and then like, you know.
It's a lot of fucking money.
Yeah. And I'm lucky because I own mine cash. I bought mine cash, but like for people who just look at the number of the AP of the, and they're like, yeah, well I can afford $220 a week or $120 a week. You don't think about all this other shit. And then my literal gas bill a month, because I've got our business has a card for our business with Z, and it's about $1,500 a month in gas I spend. Yeah, and I was like to people, cars aren't assets. Yeah,
it's so much maintenance.
Yeah, cars are literally some of my biggest expenses for my business. Yeah, every single month.
Yeah.
You know, I drive a Mazda Demio, and it's like this is my second car. My first one was a Honda Getz 2008. It had like 300,000 Ks on it.
Yeah.
But I looked after it, and it lasted me like a year and a half. And you know, to run this little small car is literally $5,000 a year. And so, you know, when I go to uni and I see like my uni friends drive around in like BMWs that are new and stuff, and then they're moaning that they got no money, it's like we need to be looking at like where our money is going, and that's why I made that post. But I guess I didn't word it nicely enough.
I think it's just more so because people know they need cars. Like I think about like, I think a lot about like for example, my nana who's 89 years old, if I'm taking her to church or I'm taking her to family functions, I can't not nana walk. Like, you know what I mean? Like just something like that. Or if you have a lot of kids, young kids in your family, and like you need to commute, like those are the things. So although that's an important message, I think oftentimes like we're like, how do we receive it? Or like how, you know what I mean? Like it's also hard to like see what's going to be helpful on social media, which I'm sure you'll find. Like when you're explaining yourself, I'm like, yeah. But I wonder how I would have received it if I saw that on social media, because you can't feel someone, you can't hear what they're talking about. I can feel your passion when you're talking about this, that you're wanting Māori to thrive better when it comes to money. And I'm like, yeah, I want that too. And so like we can't really feel each other when it's on social media.
For sure. And I think second to that, like I don't want to just talk about cars this whole podcast, but one last thing.
Go ahead.
My mum is very like strong on this, like it's a mindset thing. So back in the day, you had one car for your whole family with like two parents and those 500 kids and stuff. Like they just shared a car and they made it work, and like, you know, they did things like that. But today we have this like mindset that each individual needs a car. Like,
That's
do you know
true.
how many houses you drive around and there's literally like 10 cars parked outside? Like we don't need, not every single person needs a car.
Yeah, love it. Moving on from even though I could stay on it every day, because even if you break down real quick, but like if you're like doing a whānau trip to the grocery trip, and that's the only place far you need to go, and you need to carry stuff back, $50 for Uber a week, 50 something weeks a year, that's $2,500. It's all good. You know,
Way cheaper.
Compared to $5,000 of a car bill.
Or like a bus. What's it called?
Yeah,
The bus
plus
thing.
cards.
They can easily.
There's other options, is what I'm saying, if you're trying to be more frugal. Yeah.
A bike.
What's your portfolio look like? Because as a 19-year-old and a student,
So young.
the stereotype is no puta, running in on your last $5 every week.
Noodles.
I know that's what mine looked like. And I know I could get quite creative with $5 at uni life. But yeah, what does it look like for you? How have you reinvested your money, or what does it look like at the moment?
So when I first started uni, which was in the middle of 2021, I literally came to uni with no money at all. My family helped me to like move in, my move-in costs and everything. And from there, when I was literally like worried about my next rent bill, I was like, this is not a good way to live. So from there, I was just very disciplined. And last year was probably like the most crazy I've been with Pūtea. But over that, I was able to grow my net worth to, I think it's sitting at like $42,000 now across different areas. But like in my KiwiSaver account, my Sharesies account, and then also my business, and then personal savings, my car, and then just all these other things combined. But like when I invest in the stock market, if I make putia through like capital gains or dividends, it gets reinvested, so I don't get any of it, and it just grows and grows and continues to grow.
Yeah, hi.
So question, okay, because I have no idea what you just said. You spoke such a different language to me. So you invest in stock, right? Is that what you said? Yeah. And you said that it doesn't come back to you. Does it eventually come back to you long term?
There's the dividends.
What does that mean?
So
like
that's the money.
when the stocks go up in value, that's called a capital gain, and so that's just like a house. Like if you buy a house for 100 grand today, and then next year say you can sell it for 110, then that 10 grand is your capital gain. So that's like the profit.
Right.
So you get that back upon selling. And then with dividends are like rental payments for stocks. So the company will like reward you, I guess, for investing in the company. So if you think about big companies like Apple, when they have all of these investors around the world, it helps them to grow their business. So they like reciprocate by giving you a dividend. So it might be like a 2% yield on how much you've invested. So if you've got $1,000, is that $20? I don't know.
Yep,
I'm not good at maths, but
you are good at maths, obviously.
no, it's like $20 or $2 or something, and then that money comes back to you, and you can choose whether you get that out. So when you become like crazy rich and you have like 100 grand in the stock market, your dividends might end up being like 2 grand a month or something, and then you can just get that money deposited into your bank, and then that can be a source of income. But for me, I don't need the putia, so I just reinvest it into the stock market. And then instead of that money just the yield being on that first bit, it's now my investment plus the capital gains plus the dividends that I start making money on. So then it just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Right.
I want to talk about money and happiness. Where does that sit for you? Is that true? Does money buy happiness?
No, I think it buys comfort.
Right.
I think it buys security. I don't think it necessarily buys happiness. In my opinion, I think I think when you're able to be secure and comfortable, I think that potentially does provide joy of some kind. But I don't think if you have more money that then takes away other issues in your life. So happiness is something that you have to get from other things as well. But I know that if I have money and I buy like something cute to wear,
I'm pretty happy.
And like if I buy like some new jewelry, it makes me happy. And if I buy a new book, it makes me happy. So that's happiness, I guess. But what about you?
Yeah, no, I like that type of thing. Well, for me, money makes me very happy. Yeah, like straight up, money buys heaps of my happiness. Well, it buys me time. And
which is where your happiness comes from.
That's my happiness. And if you think about it like, there's whānau that don't have the money they're worried about shelter and kai and clothes, and you spend all your time and money to just get those three things, then there's not much space left for happiness, where I don't worry about those things in my life. So those things are all sorted all the time, and now I get the space to think about, am I happy? You
get to question it more.
And that's the time afforded to me from having the money to be able to look after the rest of it. So that's where, like, for me, money does buy happiness. It doesn't, there's not a purchase of happiness, but it's the time afforded to you to think about your happiness. Because if you're thinking about all these three things, you're not even fucking worried about being happy. You're just worried about your 2 kids eating, your 2... Surviving. You're in survival mode.
Which means you're not thriving.
At the same time, though, but you can be in survival mode and be happy with it.
Can you, though?
I've been happy in survival mode. Like, literally surviving, though. Like, I don't want to be that guy.
Nah, do it.
I did a 5-day on an island survival challenge. And like those things where, like I literally went there with nothing, no kai, no anything. And the monetary world meant nothing there, because no money was going to buy my way out of hypothermia or anything like that. So when I was doing it, and we're isolated, and all you think about, the way that this defeats my other, I'm being such a hypocrite, what's it called? Contradiction, was that...
We're all contradictions.
When I got there, my first thing was fire. Holy fuck, I need to get fire, we need to get warm. So you're worried so much about one thing, and then that's cool. Get the fire done, little spirit of happiness. Right, now I need to go get my shelter ready. It's about to rain. Run, do my shelter. Okay, now I'm starving. Let's go get a kai. You fight, go get a kai. Holy fuck, fire's nearly out. So there's always jobs to do, and that's where the survival and routine can become happiness, because you're always actively thinking about the next thing to do, and it's got nothing to do with money, those things.
Isn't that stress?
It depends how you look at it. That's where perspective comes
But
to.
no, that's why I feel like people out there who are doing it, I feel like that would be stressful if you're doing it every day and you're worrying about trying to provide shelter, kai, safety for people. I feel like if you're a parent, I couldn't even imagine what they would feel like. You being stressed that your babies are fed, your babies are safe, your babies are warm, your babies aren't going to have, like healthcare conditions due to the fact that they're in wet Māori homes. Māori? Yeah,
Māori.
M-O-U-R-D, yeah, you know what I mean. But I feel like that would be stressful. I know where you're coming from. That was a joyful experience because you decided on that.
Yeah, but if you're not choosing to do so,
then that's out of your hands.
Yeah, cool.
And you're trying to you're trying to float above water. And I feel like, I think we kind of romanticize survival a lot, especially for Māori and Pasifika, because I see so many of my whānau just surviving. And I'm like, are they happy? I have the privilege of being able to question whether I'm happy. I can loosely use my money on silly, dumb things at little op shops and ASOS and the things that bring me joy and the instant gratification at the time that in a month's time I'm going to completely forget about, because I have security from my family who do have financial security, whereas so many other people don't have that. And I feel like that's the difference, I think, when it comes to all of this. And you're talking about yourself finding security so that you can support the collective, right? But in my mind, I always think about investments and stuff to be such a self thing. I'm like, oh, where does it go? It is a colonial thing. A white man created that. But now that hearing you talk about it, I'm like, that sounds so, obviously it's because it's from a Māori woman talking, so I'm trusting it better, but that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like the argument around colonization and puta, where people say it's colonial, you're living in a capitalist society. Well, it's wake the fuck up. We've been here for ages.
Yeah.
Yeah, so why not get good at playing their game?
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like I was that. Not saying that I've completely shifted, but I'm sitting here and I'm like, that makes sense now. And I used to always be like, we're just playing the game. I hate the game. Smash the table. I fucking hate it. But
that's
in
why
reality,
you've got to find your win there, eh?
Yeah, totally.
How much is enough? What's enough to win? It's dependent on you.
Yeah.
Because for me, what I do is winning. I get to wake up and my job is literally my passion. I tell stories and I get paid for being me.
Beautiful.
Every day. So I wake up, do my job, and then the rest is, that money that can pay for anything I want. Not like fucking jets and shit, which I would like a jet.
Boy, a jet would be so mean.
But it pays for all those, the puta, the kai, the shelter, and then time to go play golf, to go fishing.
Do all those things.
To spend time with my fiance. And that's, to me, happiness. And that's, to me, winning.
That's beautiful. I get that. I feel you. Do you think that money buys happiness?
I read a case study and it was talking about to a certain level. So I think in New Zealand at the moment it might be $80,000 a year. Up until that level, it doesn't. Oh, sorry. It does contribute to your mental health, and that's basically that survivor mindset. But then beyond that, it doesn't actually contribute to happiness. But I think overall, what money buys is it buys quality of life. And what I mean by that is access to healthcare and education and the things that will fulfill us and make us, able to live happy lives. Because I think generally like when you're hauora, when your mindset, and when you're, exactly what you're saying, when you're doing mahi that fulfills you, those things are going to help you to be happy. And I think another example is, I guess, being Māori in Pākehā world. So, having to ask for time off to go to a tangi that takes 3 days and you have to justify why it takes 3 days. If you have pūtea, then you don't have to. And, like you can actually just quit your job if your boss is a dick, But so it's like things like that I think contribute to overall happiness, but I don't think that money in itself buys happiness.
Why do you think for Māori, but also in Pasifika, because I think there's like a overlap of similar issues when it comes to money. Why do you think Māori and Pasifika struggle with talking about money, or just in general, like really being able to accept this conversation?
I think it's generational trauma and generational poverty that makes us not want to kōrero about something. But I think also, like culturally, it's quite deeply ingrained with our culture that the parents look after their whānau, and then they also look after their parents, and they look after their tamariki and their mokopuna, and that's just what happens. And if you don't have the pūtea to do that, I think that brings a lot of whakamā and things like that around discussions about pūtea. So I think it's something that I don't believe that. I think like before colonization, Māori were wealthy. Like we were entrepreneurs, and we did trading, and we were hunter-gatherers, and we did so many things that made us wealthy people. And our biggest economic asset was stolen from us, which was our whenua. And so from that, like now, today, we suffer because someone got too greedy. So I think that contributes to us not being able to easily kōrero about pūtea.
That's so real.
I think at the same time, because that's exactly it. It's the generational trauma, but there's key differences in the way, and just the value systems, where this system just doesn't work in the way how Māori value things.
Totally.
And I think a key difference between Māori and Pākehā is that Māori whai mana in giving. Like so as a haukanga, all your mana comes from what you put on the table for your manuhiri. And you're always taught to give and give and give, and that's how you get mana. And for Pākehā, you find mana from hoarding and taking. And it's just two different systems where we're still not used to. We still don't practice it, because we still today want to give. Out on the marae, we hold, our manuhiri still higher than the haukanga. It's always, it's just bred into you since you're a little fella.
Literally.
That giving is the best way to,
It's the standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the way you gain mana.
That's same for Pasifika as well. I think a lot about like, for us Tongans, we call it whatongia, which is like, it's the only English word I can think of, which I know as Māori, you understand, like there's no English word that can ever truly encompass the word, but like it's kind of like obligation or duty, and it's like when there's a funeral, like I totally vibe with the fact of you like going to a tangi and like 3 days off. Ours is like 7 days off sometimes, depending on a person who passes away, and trying to explain that to a Pākehā person was like, a funeral is 1 day, and you're like, no, it's so much longer.
It's like a half an hour thing.
It's like a whole day thing. So like trying to explain it to people who don't understand is a real struggle. But like for us, when someone passes away, like we go and we give money and we give hala, which is like mats and stuff. But we also like, if it's someone that's not closely related, but it's like your family's family, we take something called a ta'oi, which is like you go and you give money to the family who lost a loved one. So it's like all these things, like it's a collective thing, and everyone chips in and everyone gives a lot. But then what that means is like you're always giving, because there's always people passing away, there's always birthdays, there's always weddings, there's always something at church, and so you're always giving, and yet there's nothing really being retained at home. And that's where the struggle and poverty kind of sits in. Like my grandfather was so ahead of his time, because he would always buy bread, milk, all that stuff, and then if he had $2 left over, he would give it to the church. But I would go to like churches, like not trying to call out Pacific churches, but like they would call out how much families would give to the church. So like you'd be like, Finau, family from blah blah blah, you've given $200 this week. The whatever family, Fafita family, just loose, not calling out the Fafita family, but like the Fafita family, they gave $2,000, like, and people would feel so much pride because you'd be like, I gave more, and then others would feel so shame because they gave such less. And I think that judgment is really rampant in Pasifika churches, and there's the type of beauty of giving and giving to a place that for you is a sanctuary of livelihood. I love that. I love that the church is a home for people to find their joy and to find a connection to something so much higher than themselves. But also like the human greed of like taking and not being able to reciprocate that to people, and people not being able to feed their children is so dangerous long term. And so like I find that we get uncomfortable talking about it because we're like, well, we can't change it anyway. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't change culture, you can't change this, but actually like there are small steps you can do, but it's finding out what works, right?
Yeah, I think it's really important because I feel like, you know, whatever our parents do, we're just going to do, and that's just like human nature, and that's how these things get passed down throughout the generations. And so being able to break like a generational thing is like crazy hard, and being able to go against what your whānau does, or what, you know, I'm not saying, I think that there's like so much beauty in being able to give, and I still maintain that even on my wealth journey. I think that allocating pūtea for koha, or, you know, whatever it is, I think is really important. So like I myself put like an AP into a koha account, and if someone's doing like a fundraiser, or if my friends are going overseas, or, you know, whatever it is, tangi comes up, then I already have pūtea for koha. But it's an amount that I can actually maintain and keep consistent with. But I think like overall, if we're going to change our trajectory, then we need to go through some kind of sacrifices at the moment to be able to do that, and for our, you know, for future generations to benefit from this.
No, that makes sense.
It's really hard because we're just trying to fit our indigenousness into a Pākehā system.
I know.
Right?
I hate it.
Even like
I get it, but I hate
your example around the church and the readout, that's not a Tongan thing to do.
No, it's not.
That's a very Pākehā thing to do, and it's because it's in a Pākehā system.
It is, yeah.
It's like it's the finding the middle ground.
Yeah.
And where we can kind of harmoniously live. Because I know for my whānau in particular, our experience, I've gone to, so my fiance, she's from Rātara, and as a people, it's not economically a rich or wealthy place, but their wealth is all in their karakia and in their people and in their waiata. I went there and I was so astonished at the first tangiana I went to, as they stood to do a kapaka set, like a whole bracket, straight up 40-minute bracket, and everyone knew the actions, everyone knew every lyric, everyone. And to me, that was so much wealth.
So much.
Yeah,
wow.
I was like, holy fuck.
Were you amazing? Were you like, whoa?
Yeah, I was like, oh my days. Anyway, I've learned all the songs, I get up now.
Yes.
But at the same time, I thought back to our wealth, and I was like, well, we pay for entertainment because we can, but we couldn't put on that entertainment. No way. We like my whānau, as a whānau, we're now restoring and reclaiming our wealth in Te Ao Māori around moko. Everyone wears moko, everyone speaks te reo, but like a thing like kapaka, that's not strong for where I'm from. And it's kind of like we sacrificed so much of us. We've only just reclaimed our moko in the last 3 years, but we sacrificed so much of our Māoritanga to thrive in Te Ao Pākehā. And for my grandfather in particular, he only just got his mataora at 70, and it was because his whole life he knew he couldn't wear a mataora in Te Ao Pākehā.
Yeah.
And he's a businessman, so he knew that I can't do that because I have to
survive.
Yeah, well, I have to. He has more than enough to survive, and then we've all got caught in the rat race where money is our culture. Yeah, and as a family too, we're a big family, and everyone works well-paying jobs. And like I like what you said about the 80,000. That's the only point you need to get mental, or for that contributes towards your mental wealth or mental health. Because after that, then you're just buying bigger and bigger boats and bigger and bigger houses and
more expensive bags and shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't. Yeah. It's so much to take.
No, because everything you're saying is so valid, and like I feel like the little shopper in me is like, yeah, I know. Yeah. But what do you think is like helpful tips? Because like, how much do you think people should be saving a week or month? Like obviously depending on their income and whatnot, but like, what are some tips for people who are wanting to start making small changes in their life to start having a more healthier relationship with money?
I think the first key thing to do is to literally get out a piece of paper and to write down how much money you make each week and figure out, so that like so many people don't even know how much like they make each week. Being able to identify that gives you a starting point. And then after that, to go through like your fixed expenses, find out how much your rent is, how much do you pay for Wi-Fi and everything like that, and add it all up so that you know exactly how much you need to live. And if after that you realize that, wow, like with my current income, I can't live like this, I can't actually afford it because every week I'm spending money on the credit card. And then that tells us that there's one of two things that need to happen. You need to either increase your income or decrease your expenses. And if you go through your expenses and you're like, well, all of these are actually necessities, I can't really cut anything out, it's not as if I go out and buy coffee or whatever, like they're all just basics, then that's an income problem. And I would work on increasing your income through side hustles, whether that's like when I was a teenager, I would mow lawns with my papa. We would go and he legit, like he'd get like $40 to mow the lawns and I'd get like 10. But, you know, like small things like that you can do to increase your income. And like make it fun, make it cool. Like if you, I don't know, dads and sons that might want to go out and mow lawns together or something, and make it bonding time, and then things like that. But once you've done those two things, I think the next thing is to list your debt. If you have consumer debt like credit cards, student loan, a mortgage, just to see, you just need a really big picture about where your finances are at the moment and how they're going. And then you can decide what you need to do further to that. So, for example, when I first did this, I literally counted up, and this is really bad, but I think I was spending like $100 on takeaways a week. And it's really embarrassing, but
I spend $400 a week on
Really?
Oh, at my worst. Yeah, that's how much we were spending at the restaurants. Just on the road, we'll buy that and then go out to restaurants. Kaya's my worst thing. You were fine.
Well, I'm also the type of person that, like, if I'm with someone, I'm like, oh, no, all good, I'll shout it.
Yeah, oi.
Exactly.
Oi. I feel like we're all guilty of that, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. And so it just, you know, it adds up. And so I realized, I was like, you know, like, this is actually a takeaways addiction. And so you need to get that sorted. And most of the time, a lot of our money problems aren't actually money problems. I've found, like, literally going to a counselor and talking about why you do some of the things you do can actually really help. So, for example, when I grew up and I didn't get to have, you know, like I always wanted, like, you know, like a pink bike or things like that. And if I didn't get it, now that I'm an adult and I can pay for these things myself, I feel like, well, I deserve it. Like I can just treat myself. But that's like not actually how life works. Like
no, it's
you
not,
need to. So I think like going to counselling or whatever can actually help you identify why you make the decisions you make, and if they're not good for you, you can kind of change them. So now I have like a takeaways budget and a limit. So I'm only allowed to go twice a week, which is probably still bad if there's doctors listening, but it's like manageable and I feel fine doing it. Like I don't feel guilty spending how much money I do because I've got a plan and I've got a budget around it.
Yeah.
Even like girls' nights out, I budget like for that. So I'm like, you know, like drinks are going to cost 30 here and blah, blah, blah. So I like add it up and budget it before I go out. And then whilst I'm out, I can just have a conscious like ticker in my brain, like, oh yeah, I've got like 80 left, no, 70 left. Oh, just went over. But
that's really proactive.
Yes.
Right. Do you think like that? Because I don't.
I've been better now since because I found just to wrap it up, we need to wrap it up.
You're amazing. I'm checking
that
out
was
your
a great
podcast.
tip.
Yeah.
The tip from that is have a plan.
Have a plan.
But as I've grown with my income as well, not that I can afford to eat $400 out a week. It's like literally convenience. I'm choosing laziness always.
Me too.
Yeah, over it with Uber Eats, with all of that. So as my income's grown, I feel like my financial literacy's grown, but it's easier said than done, eh?
Oh,
like,
so easier said than done.
I'll put money away for something, and then if I get near a threshold of this one where I said I'm only spending this much on this, and that's it for the week. If you have no money by the end of the week, then you don't get a fill up until next week.
No.
And then I'll get to the end of that week, and I'll be like, well, I mean, if I just put in another couple of hundred, who cares? So I think having a plan and discipline,
I love that.
is the two really hard skills to learn around money.
So difficult.
Especially when you grow up without, especially coming into our age, like I can say age where you have only ever been at the will of your parents. And it's
Or
what they
you
will-
haven't had much.
Yeah. Just
And you
whatever.
finally have something and you're like, ah!
Yeah. I can buy it and then spend it and
Yeah.
then it's gone. Do you know what the other thing is? I don't know. No, I need to wrap it up. But the other thing is when I was a student and I had no money, and even today, if I get down to like $0, I like never feel scared.
No, me either.
I just think like, oh well, we'll get more money.
That's fine. It is what it is.
That's probably why I'll never be the Māori millionaire.
Living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
it really is. And that's why we need you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, again, I'm going to go back to like visibility. We've talked about this, but like when you see someone visible that's similar to you or like you or exactly like you start thinking, wow, like they can do it, like I can do it. Actually, also the using things that make sense to me, using like tikanga and using like te ao Māori, like as to be like, look, like this is how what we need to do to survive and to thrive and to feel more secure and safe as a whānau. Like I love that approach, and I think that calls to me more. In any way, at any time I've ever spoke about investing or money with anyone else, I think you got it, girl. Like
Yeah.
this is a great business for you.
And only 19. Only at the start of learning, and so much more to go.
You go off, sis. I love this for you.
Have a plan, have some discipline. What else? That's it, eh?
You need a why. You need a why though. Just quickly.
Yes.
Yeah,
a
because
reason.
you can have motivation. Like we can all dream of being rich, but if we don't actually have a why of why we're doing it, then we'll just spend $400 on a.
Guy here.
That's true. It's
Spend
very
my whole
true.
paycheck on
I
it.
know. It's been like I'm hungry though.
That's exactly that. Because I don't have a why.
No, me either.
Yeah.
My why is my joy.
Yeah.
And this brings me joy, but I need to maybe contain my
Yeah.
joy a little bit, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, I love this. Thank you so much for your time. This has been amazing.
Yeah.
I was a little bit like, oh, should we talk about money in this next episode?
I think it was digestible enough.
No, you're
yeah.
so good at this.
Yes, you are. You have a real gift.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Where can people find you before
Yes,
we wrap
to
it up?
At Māori Millionaire with an underscore. If you search Māori Millionaire, all the scam accounts will come up. So make sure it's at Māori Millionaire underscore.
Cool.
Yeah.
Underscore. Got you.
Bye.
Amazing. And
Thank
the
you very
podcast
much.
is on Spotify or streaming.
On Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you have trouble finding anything, www.māorimillionaire.com.
Wicked.
Pain.
Love it, love it. Thank you very much, Te Kahukura, for your time today. And what was that one? Discipline,
Plan.
plan, why?
Why? What's my why? Oh, that's a deep question too. Can go so many different areas. Okay,
Now
wrap
you're
us
not
up.
even
Wrap
talking
us
about
up.
money. No, just yeah, what is my reason in this world?
Why am I here? Amazing.
Thank you guys very much for sitting here with us, having another wānanga here at Under the Whāriki. Ka kite anō.
Ka kite.